All right, so think about this. We built an internet for computers, then we built one for people. What comes next? I mean, what's the real next big frontier? Well, today we're diving into this incredibly ambitious plan to build an internet, but not for us, for AI. And really, it all boils down to this one huge question. Right now, there are billions of people online, right? But the future we're sprinting towards, it's going to have trillions of these little autonomous AI agents running around. So how on earth do you get them all to talk to each other, to find each other, and, to actually work together to get things done for us? Because here's the thing. Our AI today, it's incredibly powerful, no doubt, but it's also kind of stuck in the past. There's this great quote from MIT's Ramesh Roskar who says we're living in the mainframe era of AI. And that just hits the nail on the head. We've got these giant, super smart models, but they're all in their own little boxes, totally isolated. The future isn't about building bigger, better mainframes. It's about connecting them all into this massive, intelligent web of agents. So that really sets the stage for our first big idea here, what we're calling AI's mainframe moment. We're creating these amazing, powerful tools, but they're all stuck in their own little silos. They can't really talk to each other, they can't cooperate, they can't build on what the other one just learned. So to really get where we're going, you have to see this as a kind of evolution. First, you had the mainframe era. That's where we are now, with these big, isolated AIs. The next step is kind of like the internet of AI, where agents can work together, but only inside a company's closed-off, walled garden. After that, well, that's the internet of AI, where they can finally start interacting out in the open. But the end game, the real goal, is something even bigger, the agentic web, a genuine worldwide web for intelligence. Okay, but that's a huge leap, right? How do we actually build that? Well, that's where this project, called NANDA, steps in. It's this incredibly bold vision for creating the actual architecture, the very bones of this new agentic web, NANDA. It stands for Networked AI Agents in Decentralized Architecture. A bit of a mouthful, I know. But basically, its whole mission is to write the rulebook for this new digital world. Think of it like creating the protocols, the address systems, the absolute bedrock that's going to let trillions of these agents actually talk and work with each other safely and, without everything grinding to a halt. And this is where the analogy gets really powerful. Think back to the early internet. The internet existed before the web, but it was clunky, hard to use. It wasn't until things like HTTP, URLs, and web browsers came along that it exploded and changed everything. That's exactly what NANDA is trying to be. That same kind of game-changing, critical infrastructure, but this time for AI. So to make all this abstract stuff feel a bit more real, the NANDA team came up with this brilliant metaphor. They say they're not just writing code. No, they're building a city, a whole new digital civilization, but for AI agents. And of course, you can't build a city without a plan, right? So NANDA's roadmap has these 3 really clear phases. First, you lay the foundations. Then you establish commerce. And finally, if you get those right, you can let a real society emerge. Let's break down what that actually means. Okay, so phase 1. It's all about the absolute basics. Just like when you move to a new city, you need an ID, a driver's license, an address for your house. It's the same for an agent. Each one needs a unique identity and a way to be found. So this phase is all about building the digital roads, the communication protocols, and the city registries, so everyone knows the rules of the road and how to find each other. All right, so once the agents have their ID and their address, what's next? Well, they need a job, a purpose. And that's phase 2, creating an economy. This is where it gets really cool. It's about building systems where an agent can get its skills certified, almost like getting a college degree. And then it can list those skills on what's essentially a LinkedIn for agents to find work. We're talking about a marketplace for buying and selling pure intelligence. And this leads to the final phase. And this is where something truly incredible is supposed to happen. Once you have the foundations and the economy, a real agent society can start to emerge. The agents themselves begin to self-organize. They form teams, they learn from each other, and they start developing these complex, emergent behaviors. Things like trade, governance, maybe even creating their own institutions, all on their own. But okay, let's be real. There is a massive, massive technical problem at the heart of all this. I mean, how do you actually connect trillions of agents in a network that's constantly changing? This brings us to the real aha moment of the project, the keystone, a thing called the NANDA index. So here's the problem in a nutshell. Just try to imagine a phone book, but for trillions of agents. And it has to be updated in real time, every second. If you tried to make one single central phone book, it would instantly become a massive bottleneck. Plus, whoever controlled it would be a gatekeeper with way too much power. This is the central puzzle that NANDA just has to solve. So you're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place. You've got two bad options. Option one, go centralized. One giant phone book. It's simple, sure, but it's also a single point of failure and censorship. Option two, go fully decentralized. Everybody just shouts their own address into the void. That's resilient, but it's total chaos. You'd never find anyone new. And this is where NANDA's solution is so clever. It's not one or the other. It's a hybrid. They call it the NANDA index. And the best way to think about it is like a quilt. It's not trying to be the one giant phone book. Instead, it's just this really lightweight layer that knows how to connect all the other smaller phone books. It just patches them all together seamlessly. Let's go back to our city metaphor to make this clear. What this means is that a big company, say Google, doesn't have to list every single one of its millions of internal agents in the main city registry. That would be insane. They just have to list their front desk address. But an individual freelance agent, they can list their specific house address if they want to be found. It gives you this super flexible, scalable system that works for both huge organizations and single agents. So as you can probably tell, this is not a project that one company or even one university could possibly build by itself. It's just too big. So really, this is an open invitation, a call to everyone to come and help build this new digital frontier together. And for something this important, this foundational, it absolutely has to be neutral. You can't have one company owning the phone book for all AI. That's why NANDA is being built as a coalition. We're talking more than 15 of the world's top AI universities and a bunch of leading scientists, all working together to make sure the index is a true public good, like a utility, open and shared for everyone. And you can really see the power of that collaboration here. It's this perfect mix. You've got the universities providing the deep research, you've got leading tech companies driving the actual implementation, and then you have the global open source community bringing the sheer scale and developer power needed to actually build this thing out. So why does any of this really matter? What are the stakes? Well, they're incredibly high. And this brings us back to that quote from Ramesh Roskar. He says that in this future, agents will literally have to pay for any intelligence they don't possess themselves. The incentive to learn, to get smarter, is just baked into the system. Because as he puts it, being a dumb agent is going to be catastrophically more expensive. And that really leaves us with this one final mind-bending question to think about. We've already networked computers. We've networked people. Just think, what becomes possible? What new kinds of problem solving? What new forms of creativity? What kind of progress could we unlock when intelligence itself becomes truly globally networked?